Right, now then, just come across this piece of footage. This, of course, is Westminster Bridge. A bit pigging pointless, isn't it, if this is real. That is to say, they've blocked off Westminster Bridge at this time. It's pigging pointless because this happened at 7:17 when they didn't block the bridge off, and they didn't block anything off of the area of the Houses of Parliament. All the traffic just whizzed down. Of course it wasn't 7:17, was it? I mean, as we've seen from the footage, it was filmed at 7:17 for 3 or 4 pieces of pigging traffic, and then we go to the pigging ground where all the media is set up at supposedly 7:17, 7:18, okay? And there's masses of traffic. Right, so this is just done for effect as usual, because this serves no other purpose than effect. And I'll say this, if you're getting pigging burgled at this time or assaulted at this time, sorry, all our police officers are engaged on other things, such as standing around with your arms folded, having a good chinwag, and there's many more down here, and we're paying for all this crap to be deceived by those who are supposed to be our servants for our good, not for our ill. Now, this is RT Russian television. May we just say that all the outlets, no matter what, even Russian TV, alright, as corrupt can be. That's what they are. That's what we have to face up to. And all the money that's being laundered, the billions, with the backing of Parliament, of Russian money from the billionaires for the City of London. And then the MPs say, oh, we're against Putin, we're against Russia, we're against blah, blah, blah. Yeah, whilst you're telling this and portraying this, you're portraying these incidents here as terrorism, and they're fake as when you get up in the dispatch box and decry Russia, whilst behind our frigging backs you're supporting the frigging Russian oligarchs. We're being played, ladies and gentlemen. We're being played. What is said to our faces and played out here in front of our faces is all fake. And when we wake up to this fact, then we find we're free. We're free from it. And you know, our lives improve. Because these buggers here, we're no longer dancing to the tune that they're playing. We find ourselves free, and we can sit back and we can smile at this buggering lot, whilst being concerned at the same time that this buggering lot is being used and put in place for nefarious purposes of securing all our details. Well, let's look at this footage. Suspect in London Parliament car crash is UK citizen of Sudanese origin. You know what this is, don't you? This is propaganda to get the people against the people. To divide and conquer. So as we are attacking others in society, government is getting away with frigging murder, getting away with this frigging lot. Let's go.
Police in the UK say the man detained after Tuesday's Westminster car ramming incident is being held on suspicion of attempted murder and performing an act of terror. He's been identified as a British citizen of Sudanese origin. I can get more now from our London correspondent Anastasia Cherkina. Anastasia, little information so far, but what else do we know about this man?
Well, Nikki, details have certainly started trickling in and being discussed in the press about the possible identity of the man behind this crash that is now being indeed investigated by authorities here as a terror incident as well as attempted murder. And we do know that the press here are saying that this is a man who is 29 years old. He is being named as Salih Kader, a British citizen of Sudanese origin. It's being reported that this man came to Britain back in 2010 as a refugee and applied for asylum and was granted British citizenship within the last 2 years.
Yeah, propaganda on behalf of the British government. As a thank you to the British government for allowing all this money that is coming out of Russia to be laundered through London. Now then, let's deal with this part of the footage. Man is arrested, no photograph of him. Why not? Because we've got him on film. Got him on film. Because he is an actor. He's an actor. He doesn't want his face to be published. Now, they'll probably come along with a composite and flash that up at some stage. Being a composite picture, it belongs to nobody. Okay? And it's amazing what they can do with makeovers. I mean, you wouldn't recognise Ab Elijah if he's standing in the picking chip shop next to you. You know, when the Lee Rigby crap. Just wouldn't. It's amazing what makeovers can do.
Of terror. He's been identified as a British citizen of Sudanese origin.
Right, British citizen. So all the Muppets are going, why is he a British citizen of foreign origin? He's going to be muzzy. He's going to be muzzy. Why? And they go, well, that's what they want you to do. Islam is evil. There's no getting away from that. I've faced these imams and I've said to them, you're going to friggin' hell. You're going to hell. You and your evil religion. And they just turned away. It's an evil religion. Very evil. But because the government cannot, in its educational system, teach the evils of Islam, because of the backlash, the only thing it can do is to present it in this kind of terrorist events that they create, to try and educate people that Islam is not a religion of peace, but a religion of war, whilst at the same time then separating it up and saying, oh, these extreme Islam, you know, like the real IRA. And people are going around going, yeah, that's the real IRA, that's done that. Hang on a minute, just hang on a minute. If the real IRA has done this, okay, what was the former IRA then? Fake? Was it fake that the pubs got blown up, letterboxes got blown up, the post office tower got blown up, Downing Street had a bomb, a rocket fired at it from the back of a van, and Major and his cabinet went underneath the picking table as though the table could secure them. The Canary Wharf, and so on and so on and so forth. I'm not going to go into Warrington bombing because I don't believe that, according to the footage, ever happened. But they were the real IRA, and it's just political fudge all the time, isn't it? Well, let us try and concentrate on this.
We can get more now from our London correspondent Anastasia Cherkina. Anastasia, little information so far, but what else do we know about this man?
Well, Nikki, details have certainly started trickling in and being discussed in the press about the possible identity of the man behind this crash that is now being indeed investigated by authorities here as a terror incident as well as attempted murder. And we do know that the press here...
Right, okay. Again, emphasis from blinky blinky. Blink, 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 blink. They are putting Parliament first. Terrorism first. Not members of the public. It's always Parliament. Parliament. It was not a terrorist act. He simply drove into Bollard into a security barrier away from the police on guard who were guarding the gates of the car park that leads down beneath Parliament. The man himself, instead of passing those 2 or 3 or 4 officers standing there at the gates, if it had been a terrorist act, he would have aimed his vehicle at them. Then that would have been a real terrorist act. Terrorism in the sense that they would have been terrified and terrorised and, of course, rather broken on the ground. But as it was, he drove past the Houses of Parliament towards the end of Parliament and just crashed into a barrier, and that was how it was to be played out. But the emphasis here, dear boy, Miss Blinker, blink, 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 should be on members of the public, not Parliament. Parliament was unaffected. Members of the public, according to the story, were affected and taken away by ambulances. And of course there's no, again, scene of crime set up. There's no bicycles ever seen bent, buckled. No people on the ground bent and buckled. There's nothing of any general public on the ground. No pedestrians on the ground. No cyclists on the ground. No loved ones brought forwards. Nothing. And all the time the emphasis upon terrorism at the Houses of Parliament, because now Parliament must be inclusive with the people. To say to the people, you're not only being terrorised, but we are. We're in the same boat as you.
Are saying that this is a man who is 29 years old. He is being named as Salih Kader, a British citizen of Sudanese origin. It's being reported that this man came to Britain back in 2010 as a refugee and applied for asylum and was granted British citizenship within the last 2 years. It's also being reported that this is a man who lived in Birmingham and was actually, according to some reports being made now, in London to reportedly apply for a Sudanese visa to be able to visit his family back home. Now, and some reports have suggested that he actually had papers or documents on him suggesting that's what he was planning on doing. So some questions still to be addressed there. It's also being reported that he was not known to the MI5 or the counter-terror police, but local police in Birmingham where he lived were aware of his identity.
Right, just stop you there, my dear. Miss Blink, 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 blink. It's always about security. It's always pushing this security. Aside from the fact that they're trying to stir people up, and it's so easy for so many hundreds to turn around now and say, oh, they shouldn't have given him British citizenship. No, why they're doing this, why they're doing that, and we should have more security. Oh, if only MI5 had more security. Let us freely give us details now. You know, it's working that way. You've got airport security, ferry security, you've got security in the picket courts. And always notice this thing. It's always security. Mainly for big businesses, alright, and for government and its departments. You don't get security. I can't say about all this country, but generally you don't get security for railway stations, for instance. Why not? Why not? Tubes have been blown up. Man gets on a train and blows it up. It's all about securing our will to hand over our details and our lives to be submitted willingly. And people will now, increasingly, go along the parliamentary line that they should give up their whole lives to become even more of a number.
Some reports have suggested that he actually had papers or documents on him suggesting that's what he was planning on doing. So some questions still to be addressed there. It's also being reported that he was not known to the MI5 or the counter-terror police, but local police in Birmingham where he lived were aware of his identity. And, excuse me, we do know that police here who are now investigating this case have been saying that he's not been cooperating with them, and that their main priority remains to be able to determine what exactly his motivation is and give it...
Oh, this is the aerial footage. Sorry about this, my dear. Nice to see you. Nice. Where are the persons, according to that eyewitness, flat on the ground, on the pavement, or on the road, the cyclists? Come on, where are they? Oh dear. They have to be there, because he said they were there. He was the eyewitness. And here is Westminster Bridge. Buses coming off Westminster Bridge. There's very few traffic. Yet again, when we get on the ground, there are a mass of traffic. And when we're on the ground, when this bugger here collides into a barrier here, well away from Parliament, here there's no cameramen, no satellite dishes, no media vans, nothing. So again, the footage is telling us that it was filmed, the second part, on the ground at a different time of day. That's why the increase in traffic. That's why there's no bugger on the pavement lying down flat. There's no bugger in the road with bent bicycles and bent bodies. There's no media vans. There's few traffic. And they did it at a time when there was few traffic. Few eyewitnesses. And then all the eyewitnesses saw after was the second event. That is, the car was smashed here, right? 7:17, okay? Boom. They left it there. They all went for a cup of tea and a pork chop. And they came back sometime in the day when the media had managed to set itself up, and then they acted out the part. The man gets back into the picking car. He's probably flanked by officers so that nobody sees him getting into the car. And he's short enough. He certainly picked on somebody very short, so he could inconspicuously get into the car. And then, action! Open the car. Media sitting here, filming it, all in on it. Carry on, Blinker.
The man is not speaking and saying very much about why he did what he did. That remains a challenge. And we're also hearing here that the police, the car that he had driven to London in from Birmingham actually arrived the night before this incident took place. We're also hearing that neighbors are saying that he was a quiet man who lived over an internet cafe, but in fact the landlord of the place he used to live said he didn't live at that internet cafe for a few months before this happened. So really lots of questions still. We also know that officials and police have investigated and looked into 2 properties that could have been associated with him, still searching another, but no other people have been arrested in connection to this, so the police are continuing to look into that. And interestingly, just to mention, we know that the Metropolitan Police Commissioner here in London has said that it might be not the worst idea to consider pedestrianising Westminster because of what she's described these vehicle attacks being weapons of choice. So we'll see.
Sorry, what was that?
has said that
Sorry, let's go back one.
officials and police have investigated and looked into 2 properties that could have been associated with him, still searching another, but no other people have been arrested in connection to this, so the police are continuing to look into that. And interestingly, just to mention, we know that the Metropolitan Police Commissioner here in London has said that it might be not the worst idea to consider pedestrianising Westminster because of what she's described, these vehicle attacks being weapons of choice. So we'll see if that happens, and we've also heard from...
So this is getting ridiculous. We know that the Metropolitan Police are as corrupt can be. Not only in their dealings but in their thoughts. He's saying that it wouldn't be a bad idea to pedestrianise this part. What a plonker. You've got security blocks up, Mr. Officer. Security blocks that only a tank or any vehicle with tracks could get over. You can't hit them and move them. They're absolutely massive, solid, and this vehicle was headed away from Parliament. If you pedestrianise it completely, take out the road, lay your block paving, that makes it pigging easier for vehicles. It's not going to stop vehicles. What are you going to do? Block pave the pigging area, make it one solid area, still with these blocks up, okay. You're making it even easier. You've got no pavement to hit if you wish to hit it. Mind you, you can't get at the frigging pavement, I suppose, because of the blocks. But the point is,